Om Guru Vajra Taras Karma Ota Varda Nyeshri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajra Dara Suma Timu Nisha Sane Karma Ota Varda Nyeshri Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajra Dara Suma Timu Nisha Sane Karma Uta Varda Nishri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajra Dara Suma Timu Nisha Sane Karma Uta Varda Nishri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajra Dara Suma Timu Nisha Sane Karma Uta Varda Nishri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajra Dara Suma Timu Nisha Sane Karma Uta Varda Nishri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Nisha Sane Karma Uta Varda Nishri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Dagi Jetsun Lama Tuje Che Nyamda Dala Tuje Siksu So Gebe Shesan Dala Tendo So Uyon Sunge Nawa Tsedo So Seji Ningne Sawa Debe Tse Dejen Korlo Visu Lekshune Ila Sambe Dede Malupa Geme Hunge Drubra Jinge Sonyi Sodan Dikdun Shapet Se Dunge Namge Yinsu Lekshune Lapchen Sonyi Yonsu Zobadan Chera Nyedun Chanwara Jinge Lo Chancho Parge Ninsen Tukun Tu Nyu Peme Sudro Lekshune Chancho Drube Gegen Kunshishi Tungen Dela Drubra Jinge Lo Dagi Lona Chola Chobadan Chemi Samjurangin Bash Chedan Timbe Dede Malepa Bemel Hingi Drubra Jingilo Dorna Tengne Tsera Tamche Dan Teche Pardo Nega Tamche Tu Rese Kyamne Lama Keleme Tukche Chingi Dala Sikso Gongyab Dreve Nyamda Dachala Chetsun Lame Tuje Rabgongne Kodan Sungi Nawa Drame Tu Nyamsu Nyungwe Kesan Toprasho Kewa Kundu Yanda Lama Dan Rame Cheki Pela Longche Chin Sada Lamge Yunde Rabzone Dorje Change Koba Nyurdo Vesho Pakyuke Kodan Dagi Lo Pakyuke Sundan Dagi Nga Pakyuke Tudan Chikdo Jingi Lo Makyuke Kodan Dagi Lo Makyuke Sundan Dagi Nga Makyuke Tukdan Dagi Ten Yerme Chikdo Jingi Lo Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Oh Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Guru Puja. We do the recitation of the Guru Puja, facciamo la recitazione della Guru Puja. Dece ngale rani lama la kande selve kule vesretso chochur treber ne chu chin la pe taba ramchan bashi yundengi kwebe keba pinsun sopra kyur rabkara gesen chimbe ngani le dadan kanya magen simchenam tengne jisi chanchu nimbe para lama kuncho sumla kyapsudro Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Ma Simche Kunge Tinge Chir, Dani Lama Har Gyurne Simche Tamche Lama Lai Kopan Chola Kobracha, Ma Simche Kunge Tinge Chir, Dani Lama Lar Gyurne Simche Tamche Lama Lai Kopan Chola Kobracha, Ma Simchen Kunge Tunge Chir, Dani Lama Har Gyurne Simchen Tamche Lama Lai Kopan Chola Kobracha, Ma Simchen Tam Chege Tundu Dagi Tsedi Nila Nyurwa Nyurwa Deme Sang Lama Lai Kopan Undu Che, Ma Simchen Tamche Dunga Ledre Dechen Sangye Ki Sala Kobracha, Te Chirtu Lam Samo Lama Lai Nel Joranyam Su Lamwara Givo Omo Ahum Omo Ahum Omo Ahum Mowo Yeshe La Namba Nanchadan Chese Soso Namba Chele Wambo Drugi Chuyu Dudetong Yeshe Kebra Chenkebe Sadan Pana Nange Kyuntam Che Yonsu Kebe Chinasam Chotin Tamse Chinse Samge Mikya Pe Kanwara Kyo Dedon Yermel Hala Yambra Quinsan Chetin Tripe Wo Loma Medo Drebu Yonse Dogu Pasam Chumpets Donga Barwe Rinchen Triten Chuge Nida Gebete Kadrin Sumden Sawe Lama Sange Kunge Ngovon Namba Ngurmi Zimbe Gelon Sheche Chanye Tsumkaradru Chaye Cheche Yumba Nyamsha Ditse Kangwe Hongsen Kurkon Damden Chogo Sumso Serdo Penshe Uladze Tukara Kyabda Dorje Changwa Sheche Chanye Kudo Dorje Sungne Yinchu Magyul Hinge Dedun Robege Nama Rinche Genge Teshin Hase Dagi Nazel Tempe Gende Veser Tomba Chatsun Nange Korwe Dorje Gildron Sulge Shupe Pungbo Namda Deshe Kamshi Yumshi Keje Tsagyu Tsinan Chanchu Sembango Pabo Dracho Nire Chikton Yala To Wambo Nye Veser Chugyo Nejin Sanwa Chikden Pana Shapki De Tagorim Shingogyo Lama Yidam Kingo Latsod Sangye Chansen Pawe Kandro Tensung Gyatso Cornation Tetrago Sumdorche Sumse Hungi Veser Chag Transhi Nene Yeshe Pana Chendra Yermeten Par Gyuro Pinso Dele Chungne Tusumgi Sagyo Lama Yidam Kuncho Sum Pawo Kandro Chugyo Dirshe Temprashu Chonaran Shindro Kundreya Natso Duce Samba Chishindu Chirian Charwe Kinze Trinleche Kyabgun Dampa Korche Sheksusa Omo Guru Buddha Bodhisattva Dharma Pala Sapariu Ehya Hitsa Hum Bam Yeshe Pana Tamse Pada Nisume Par Gyur Kange Tuche Dewa Chembo Kusongo Ban Chegyan Kechila Sotse Lama Rinchen Tabuku Dorche Chensha Pemo Chatse Lo Rabchan Gyalwa Kunge Yeshen Kandu Chirian Charwe Tavkecho Murmi Zimbe Karge Nerowa Kyabgun Dambe Shabla Chatse Lo Cheba Chujun Shin Pame Yunden Rinchen Togit Pende Malu Chung Eko Chipu Chitsun Lame Shabla Chatse Lo Larche Demba Sange Kunge Ngo Geri Shidon Tamcho Chungen Paso Kunge Una Lange Wa Trinchen Lama Namla Chatse Lo Tusum Chochur Shupe Lama Da Rinchen Chosum Chave Tamche Techi Mebe Deyang Gyatsoch Shindu Nyambe Ludru Cha Tse Lo Kyabgun Chetsun Lama Korchela Natso Chirin Gyazo Bilwani Kwele Rinche Uba Nayan Le Dache Dutse Chushi Degiba Dombo Sima Chenwa Pele Pa Zebe Medo Sadan Parnang Tishin Pegi Duba Bendorye Yarke Ngombo Trige Lalante Nida Norbu Rabkara Tongmetso Tonsu Minse Vese Tsegag Gabo Tsenden Kurgon Trigope Pechun Sochen Kuryo Kuneki Roge Chude Sacha Tongada Lhada Mi Shase Lumpopo Natso Romo Cheranta Ele Jue Danye Gyue Sasung Sodra Tiro Reiche Pechempe Chinandenyo Lhame Chokun Kya Sashi Peki Choshe Meto Tari Ravling Shi Ni De Gempadi Sange Shinto Mikte Ulwargi Drokun Namandashi Par Shoya Chewatra Gelin Shelum Proche Rinchen Dinda Nyewe Rinchen Kunga Gebe Ne Chupin Sunso Lami Loncho De Gu Terchembu Dawe Simge Pulchun Shingech Kyabgun Tuche Chen La Ulwargi Ye Dam Guru Rana Mandra La Kam Niryata Yamin Washa Yidro Yishin Gatso Ngo Sishe Namkara Leo Chunza Dado Gebe Kunge Yidro Shin Jigden Jigden Lede Ranshin Gosong Gebe Medo Chiantra Quinsan Chebe Triso Bumdroy Lapso Rimni Lange Drindempe Gazen Jetsun Lama Nichibul Kurgon Damde Sang Geche Tunga Dan Chekyu Nga Dan Ruma Nga Laso Chandun Barwe Dutse Gyatso Iwon Latso Palzin Truchun Shi Dube Gyutse Lage Lutra Shinge Ngage Lhinge Ponyetso Tsedu Gyume Changya Nangyab Timden Lhinge Dewe Yesheche Chuguran Shin Tongdan Dewe Yerme Lundro Masam Jole De Tenda Chanjo Simcho Kyolab Nyomo Shiga Tsashi Nejorpe Sambo Mingi Chera Natsod Kene Gichir Dadrimbula Namkara Jesim Basu Sondo So Tome Dune Mige Dikbele Gidan Gitse Iran Chichip Tuche Chinren Ching Shonarash Tabra Shusu Kadrin Sumden Jetsun Lama Tsera Kondo Drame Jezin Suncho Dorje Chanwa Top Chir Mime Tsewe de Jechin Rezi Jimekinbe Wombo Chambelian de Malo Chumse Samwe Da Kanche Kebe Tsukin Sunga Balo Sandra Beshavla Sowa de Mime Tsewe de Jechin Rezi Jimekinbe Wombo Chambe Devo Malo Chumse Samwe Da Kanche Kebe Tsukin Sunga Balo Sandra Beshavla Sowa de Mime Tsewe de Jechin Rezi Jimekinbe Wombo Chambelian de Malo Chumse Samwe Da Kanche Kebe Tsukin Sunga Balo Mime Tsewe de Jechin Rezi Jimekinbe Wombo Chambelian de Malo Chumse Samwe Da Kanche Kebe Tsukin Sunga Balo Sandra Beshavla de Mime Tsewe de Jechin Rezi Kanche Kebe Tsukin Sunga Balo Sandra Beshavla de Mime Tsewe de Kanche Kebe Tsukin Sunga Balo Sandra Beshavla de Mime Tsewe de Sawade mime, tsewe terche chenresi, drime gembe wambo jambe liang, dewa malo jamse sangwe, kanche kebe tsuken tsungka bala sandrabe, shabla solwa de. Yenden chune tsurin kya che, mando norbe tsoke yon sota, ngurme zimba tungwa nipe che, niden duwa zinla sawa de, kandan dena devra shekbel, Tembra vebe yunden chuden pa, malwe gelwe duzo choki je, tek choki we shela sowad, gosum le dam lo chen soden ra, yudan gyume nga dan gyu she shin, teni chusun ridan cheke pe, dorje zimbe tsola sowad, sangye drame jumbe madulwe, maron duge nikdo drwala, deshe lamsan chishin tenpa yi, kyabgon tuje chen la sowad, Gongya mebe drawa mambola, gyawe zeba nyevra druzepe, kyabkon tuje chen la sowad, gyawa tamche. Kange babu buka chizaya, daja sanam shindu lengape, kyabkon tuje chen la sowad. Gengi kolo nye tapge gyuru drawe chugele, tame tsugi drawa drenzepe, kyabkon tuje chen la sowad. Kechi yela nam deshe ringa yabyon senpa da trawe wamboran shincho sumgi dani lama chola sowad kunge yeshe rweba le jongwe kilkor korlo jewe dani ten rige kepta dorje zimbe tso sumcho dambu gun la so trime linge gawe rweba da yerme tenyo kungya kungi tama tarre kunsan tundamgi chancho simgo kyo la sowad Kyuni lama kyuni yidam kyuni kandro chu kyonte Tegne sunte chanchu pardo Kyomin kyab shemi tsolwe Didam pardo chi metar Si shi jik trol ngo drup kunso Tengi trozo pacho sung Kyuni lama kyuni yidam kyuni kandro chu kyonte Tegne sungte chanchu pardo Kyomin kyab shemi tsolwe Chi me taryan to che cha gyu sung tsola Si shi jik trol ngo dru kun Tengi trozo pa cho sung Kyuni lama kyuni yidam kyuni kandro chu kyonte Tegne sunte chancho pardo Kyomin kyab shemi tsolwe Didam pardo chi me tari To che cha gyu sung tsola Pa cho sung Edarlin sung so wa ta pe tu La me ko sung to ge ne nam leng Du tse we ser karmar ting ka sung Rim dan chik char chung ne da ni gi Ne son rim dan chik char tim pa le Drip shi tak chi nam da wang shi top Ku shi top chi la ma ni ba shik Ge shin tim pe chingi la par kyu Omo a guru vajradara sumati muni shasane karma uda vardanya shri barra varsa manya sarva siddhi hum Om a guru vajradara sumati muni shasane karma uda vardanya shri barra varsa manya sarva siddhi hum Om a guru vajradara sumati muni shasane karma uta vardanya shri barra varsa manya sarva siddhi hum Om a guru vajradara Uta vardanya shri barra varsa manya sarva siddhi hum Om a guru vajradara sumati muni shasane Uta vardanya shri barra varsa manya sarva siddhi hum Om a guru vajradara Muni shasane karma uta vardanya shri barra varsa manya sarva siddhi hum Om a guru vajradara sumati muni shasane Uta Vardani Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Omo A Guru Vajradhara Sumati Gyana Shasana Dara Samudra Shri Bhadra Sarva Siddhi Om A Guru Vajradhara Sumati Gyana Shasana Dara Samudra Shri Bhadra Sarva Siddhi Om A Guru Vajradhara Sumati Gyana Shasana Dara Samudra Shri Bhadra Sarva Siddhi Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Gyana Shasana Dara Samudra Shri Bhadra Sarva Siddhi Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Gyana Shasana Dara Samudra Shri Bhadra Sarva Siddhi Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Gyana Shasana Dara Samudra Shri Bhadra Sarva Siddhi Om Sumati Gyana Shasana Samudra Shri Bhadra Sarva Siddhi Om A Guru Vajradhara Sumati Kirti 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 Siddhi Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Soha Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Om Muni Muni Maha Muni Shakya Muni Soha 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 Om A Vajradhara 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 Om A Om A Om A Om A Om A Om A Om Ah. Verse 84, verso 84. Shinjo Tamba Jetsun Lama La Chechin Gube Sawa Tabe Tu Dele Tsawa Gombo Kyunye Ge Gishin Jetsun Zimbra Chingelo Lenche Tsamshe Nyebe Del Churade Nyega Nyurdo Chipe Tsudo Ne Tome Tsedi Chawe Mieo Tende Nyimbo Lembra Chingelo Nge Zondo Nge Barwe Meje Ne Nyingne Kunjo Sumla Kimdroshin Dikpon Ketso Tada Trubala Tsumba Lulen Chebra Chingelo Balon Trato Tru Dunge Sumge Chesen Mambe Tse Tame Jiro Sitso Chembole Tardo Shutra Kyora Chingelo Saka Tsanra Drave Korwad Gawe Tseldar Tonge Loba Ne Lauson Pawe Norge Tsoson Tarpe Gensen Sembra Chingelo Nyamda Drova Digun Dagima Yayan Chinge Kyangbe Tsusane Dupe Pola Tsewe Mashinto Chaminin Che Kyora Chingelo Dunge Tramu Tsamya Mide Chin Dela Namya Choshe Mebaran Dadan Shenla Kebra Yumi She Shende Gawa Kebra Jingelo Chone Di Mide Dunga Gebe Gyurdone Lelen Dela Kondo Sonje De Dazin Denjen Jombra Jingelo Manan Cheson Dela Gobel Taye Yenden Jungwe Gordone Drwa Dida Dagi Dralankya Sole Chebra Zimbra Jingel Gona dan tuban shindon bashin zebayi kenda yunden yewa tokbelo da shenyam je nubra jingil rani chezin guba kunge gu mana chezin yunden kungish dechir da shen jewe nel chorala nyamle nimbo chebra jingil tena chetson lama tu cheche magyo drove dirib dunga malu tata dala mimpa dan dagi dege shenla tangwa Drogun dedan dembra jingelo tena jetsun lama tu cheche magyo drove dirib dunga malu tata dala mimpa dan dagi dege shenla tangwa Drogun dedan dembra jingelo tena jetsun lama tu cheche magyo drove dirib dunga malu tata dala mimpa dan dagi dege shenla jingelo neje dibe trebu yungante mide dunga chartarabab gyuruk Linge trebu sebe gyurtone kinge lamtu longwara jinge Dona Sange Nawa Chisharayan Chugu Nimbo Tomge Nyamling Chancho Semni Pewe Lamgirate Yide Bashi Gombra Jingi Chorwa Shidan Tempe Tapke Gi Tela Kanto Gomla Chorwa Locho Thamse Lapche Nyamlengi Telchor Dunchen Chombra Jingi Tongle Lola Kyumbe Tumdekche Chamda Ninche Laube Samba Chile Drove Chire Chancho Semni Chongra Jingi Droche Lam Namda Gyase Domba Gyudam Tekcho Tsudrin Sumge Nyamlen La Tsomba Lulen Chebra Jingi Tusumge Tsoche Simche Raran Debe Ngogurate Chame Tonse Bebe Mengagi Chimbe Parchin Sobra Jingi Sodra Chanse Sanga Domba Ye Chezan Sogi Chiria Midech Gecho Dudan Simche Tundrupe Tsudrin Parchin Sobra Jingi Kamson Kegu Malu Trugurate Shishin Sandro Dikshin Sokchokyan Midru Norlen Pemba Druchepe Sebe Parchin Sobra Jingi Simche Rere Chiria Narme Pe Menan Keba Gyatso Negokyan Ninje Migyo Chancho Chotson Pe Tsundru Parchin Sobra Jingi Chingo Nambra Yongwe Kyombane Chuku Dembe Tombe Ne Lol Seji Nyambra Chobe Tinzenge Samden Parchin Sobra Jingi Simche Tobe Sheragi, Trambe Shinchan de Chen Dandrewo, Tenda Nyamsha Namge Nejogi, Shera Parchin Zobra Jingi, Chinan Chonan Gyuma Milandan, Dambe Tsanan Daso Jishin, Nayan Dembra Mebe Tsutone, Gyume Tinzen Zobra Jingil, Corderan Shinduza Mebada, Gyure Tendre Lua Meban, Benzo Game Troxo Charwai, Ludru Gondon Tobra Jingilo. Tebengi Tinle Gude Gazo Jigete Modro Tsawa Tamse Dombana Sole Chebra Zimbra Jingelo Gyurwe Rimba Tambone Jogi Tamena Shintrima Kuncha Vite Udatu Gongyo Shasen Goba Lejung Vese Gyulo Sundo Jobela Tsedi Ngondo Gyurwa Jingelo Lamna Masin Chiwe Duchena Tsenda Tsangya Lame Powan Tomga Yandan Charwe Damngagi Takpe Shindu Drobra Jingil Dona Keshin Kewa Tamchetu Gombo Kyoge Drame Jes Kuson Toge Sanwa Kunzimpe Sege Tuor Gyurwa Jingil Gongyo Kando Ngombra San Kebe Korge Toma Nito Da Gyurde Beme Lunge Drube Trashi Tso Sangye Chodan Soge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapso Chip Dage Jinso Gibe Sonam Ge Trola Penchire Sangye Drubrasho Sangye Chodan Tsoge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapso Che Dage Jinso Gibe Sonam Gi Trola Pinchire Sangye Drubrasho Sangye Chodan Tsoge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapso Che Dage Chushe Gibe Sonam Gi Trola Pinchire Sangye Drubrasho. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge unto enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Yesterday, we were explaining the Tsog offering, and continue it now. But I would like just to explain one part, which is understanding a little bit what we already started explaining yesterday, but why we do the Tsog offering. There are many different reasons for it. One reason is for the accumulation of merit. What is merit? Because merit is a word that in English has a different meaning than it has in the original context of Buddhism. We use this translation as merit, but truly is not a good translation in the sense that it doesn't bring the actual meaning. So in the word in Sanskrit is called punya, in Tibetan we say sonam, but actually there is not a real translation for it. Maybe in maybe in 20 years or 30, 50 years, whatever, in the near future, maybe at some point we will have a good translation, because in the moment that the concept becomes part of the culture, then we can have a word representing it. In the moment we don't have the concept in our languages. So, no. So, gradually I will try to explain the concept so we can have a better understanding of it. But the word, in the future we'll have a word representing that concept. So, making it very brief, without going into too many details, the fact is that it's not possible for anyone to experience a result without having made the causes. We can only experience a result by having created the causes in the past. So there are causes and there are conditions. The situation of the present, the people that we meet, the actions that we do, the actions that other people do, the actual present situation are the conditions. And the causes that were made in the past are the causes. So normally what we call causes are actually conditions. Or why am I feeling happy, or why am I feeling sad, or why is like this or like that. Normally we say, oh, because this person said this, because that happened, and so on. These are the conditions through which the causes that we have created in the past manifest. Okay? So, the concept is quite simple. There are no results without causes. If we want a certain type of result, we must create the causes to gain that result. Okay? So, the positive causes, which manifest through the sensation of pleasure, okay? Because it's important to understand also that the result manifests through our sensation. Normally, what is our reference to say if something is positive or if something is negative? What is our reference to say if something is good or something is bad? The sensation that we have through it. Much more, there is something is beautiful or ugly, if it's nice or not nice, in many different ways. What makes for us something to be good or bad, basically, is the sensation that we have as we enter in contact with it. If it's a sensation of pleasure, for us it's something good. If it's a sensation of suffering, for us it's something bad. Okay? So, the positive and negative causes, which is positive and negative karma, manifests in our life through our sensation. So, in order for us to have positive sensation, we must have got positive causes. In order for us to have negative sensations, we have negative causes. So, if we do not create the causes, we will never have the results. Making a metaphor that I don't like so much, but I think it represents the meaning quite well, help us to understand it better, is a metaphor of money. We can buy anything we want as long as we have the money and it is for sale. I can have all the money, but if what I want is not for sale, can I get it? No. And if what I want is for sale, but I don't have the money, can I get it? No. So being or not for sale are the conditions of the present. Having or not having the money is having created the causes in the past or not. It's having accumulated the causes. So, in order for us to have a good result, which is what? Satisfaction, joy, happiness, even the aspect of having good health, having also economic stability, having good relations with others, and all the part of spiritual realizations, developing love and compassion and patience and wisdom and so on. All these are conditions that will help us to make us to have more happiness and more satisfaction. So all of this are positive results. And in order for us to get these results, we must create the causes. It's like, if I want in the future to buy something expensive, I must accumulate the money and I must work hard in order to get that. I cannot expect that I will be able to buy a beautiful house if I don't make the money for it. So I need to work hard. So, and when we talk about material, if we follow the metaphor, it's possible for us to have and to inherit some money, and someone could even steal. In karma, that's not possible. You cannot inherit karma, and you cannot steal it also. You need to work hard for it, no other way around. Okay, so what happened is that in order for us to get the result, we must sure create the causes. Without creating the causes, there are no results. So based on that, for example, when there are people that they actually have all the good conditions, but still they are never satisfied and never happy. There are many people, and actually most of us, that we have all the necessary conditions to be happy. We have a good health, we have economic, material stability, we have people that love us around us, we don't live in a situation of constant conflict and so on, but still we are never happy, we are never satisfied, it's never enough. This is basically because of the lack of merit. So in Tibetan it's very common to say, this person cannot sustain his happiness. He cannot sustain, he doesn't have merits to sustain his happiness. This is what is said very commonly. So, no merit to sustain the happiness. In other way, there is also when a person, things simply don't work out. There are some people that it doesn't matter how much they try, things simply don't happen for them in a good way. It's also that they don't have the merits, they don't have the causes in order to have such state of happiness. So, if we want to have good results, which in a mundane level and in a spiritual level, in a mundane way, it means if we want to have good health, material stability, we want to have good relations with other people, if we want to have sensations of pleasure and joy, if we want to find a good meaning in our life, and if we want from the spiritual point of view to develop our qualities such as stability, satisfaction, love. For example, just the wisdom of realizing impermanence. In the moment that we realize impermanence, we do not suffer anymore with the change of things. That's already a lot. So if we want to have any of this, we must create the causes. And it's not the correct word is not creating the causes, it's accumulating the causes. We must accumulate the causes. It's like working and making the money. It's not like you don't make the money at once to buy a beautiful house. You need to accumulate it slowly. Every month, you go there, make the little money, and then you put aside slowly, and finally you can buy what you want. But similar to that, we need to accumulate merits. We need to accumulate the positive causes in order to experience positive results. And we need to avoid the negative causes in order to avoid negative results. That's simple way as it is. So the word that is used in Sanskrit is punya, merit. So, and papam, which is dikpa, which is the negative causes. Okay? So we have basically positive causes and negative causes. Okay? So we need to avoid the negative causes and we need to accumulate positive causes. So what's the best way of accumulating positive causes? There are different ways how we can accumulate merits, how we can accumulate positive causes. But one of the best ways of doing it, it's by giving, by sharing with others, when we offer something to someone else. There are different types of offerings, okay? External offerings, internal offerings, secret offerings, offerings of realizations, and so on. But basically, when we make an offering, if we give something to someone that has a spiritual development equal or lower than ours, it's called an act of generosity. And there are basically 4 types of generosity. We can give materially, we can give love, we can give protection, or we can give spiritually, we can give the Dharma. The easiest way is to give materially. You give food, you give anything that is material, okay? The second one, which is more deep, is to give affection, to give love to others. And that's more powerful.
and more difficult. Then we have the third level, which is giving protection. Giving protection is when we help others to avoid suffering. So for example, we are walking in the streets and we see someone that is sleeping in the street and it's very, very cold night. So we go, we get a nice blanket and we give this beautiful warm blanket to this person. So we are helping that person to avoid the suffering of cold. In this way, this is a generosity of giving protection, for example. Okay? So when there is an imminent suffering, and by doing something we avoid that suffering, this is a generosity of giving protection. Then there is a generosity of giving the Dharma, when we share the spiritual path, when we help the other person to transform internally and to develop his own qualities and to avoid his own mental defilements. So this is the generosity of giving the Dharma. So, generosity of giving Dharma is not only the specific Buddhist teachings. It's when we help the person on the spiritual path. It can be independently, any religion. It is not a matter of religion of this or that. It's a matter of helping the other person to develop his inner qualities such as love and compassion and patience and avoiding attitudes such as anger and jealousy and pride and miserliness and so on. Okay? So, this is the act of giving generosity. Then there is the act of offering. When we give something to someone that has a higher spiritual development than ours, it's called an act of offering. It's when we make an offering. So we make this offering to our gurus, we make this offering to the Buddhas, to the Bodhisattvas, to the Dakas, Dakinis, protectors, to the three jewels. We make this offering. And basically the best way of accumulating merit is by giving, is by sharing. So we give to sentient beings as an act of generosity. We give to holy beings as an act of offering. And this is the best way for us to accumulate merits. So, and what is important is that in the act of giving, the most important part is not materially what we offer, but is the actual inner attitude of offering. What is our attitude? What is our intention? What is the value that we give to what we are offering? For example, what is the value that the thing has? So, for example, this cup of water. What is the value that it has when I offered it? It depends the value that I give to it. Okay? If it's what's the actual value of what I am offering? It's depending basically on the value that I give. Maybe for me, it's something so precious. For someone else, no. So if for me it's something precious and I am offering a lot. If for me it's not precious, I'm not offering much. And even what's the most important is the attitude that we have and the intention that we put. For example, at the time of Buddha, there were two boys that they were one day in the fields, and then suddenly they saw Buddha walking through. And the one boy specifically, he developed such great faith on Buddha. And he wanted to make an offering to Buddha. He couldn't see Buddha passing and just not offering anything. So he went with a lot of faith to Buddha and a lot of respect. Buddha was walking with his begging bowl, where he used to put food on it. So Buddha was there. Most probably there was some food inside. And the boy went there, but he had nothing. He was very, very poor and had nothing to offer really. And the Buddha was very tall also. So the boys were small. They couldn't really reach the begging bowl of Buddha as Buddha was walking. So one went on top of the other. And they took sand from the floor. And he offered the sand to Buddha's begging bowl, imagining that it was gold. So as he put inside Buddha's begging bowl, he was imagining that this was gold. And he was doing it with a pure motivation, really. And imagining really gold, like for him was gold that he was offering in that way. So, through the merits that he accumulated by this offering, he later was reborn and he became the emperor of India, King Ashoka. So this was the merits through which after he could become King Ashoka. So you could see, technically, what was going inside the begging bowl of Buddha in the middle of his food? Sand. Okay? But actually, what was the attitude, what was the value that he was giving, and what was the attitude was like offering gold and offering the best, and with a lot of respect and gratitude and so on. So there was a lot of merits being accumulated. So when we do the Tsog offering, what are we offering objectively? What is the object that we are offering? The food that we prepare on the table. Okay? The food that we offer, it is actually not necessarily much. So there is basically the actually prepared offerings and the mentally visualized offerings. This is what we offer most. That's why the part of purification, as we explained yesterday, it's so important. The value that we give, the way how we see the offerings. This is also very important in the moment that we offer. And the attitude of offering is even more important. Why I offer? I offer out of gratitude. I offer out of respect. I offer out of love. And I offer without any attachment. So this is really this part where we make the offering. And by giving to others, we accumulate a lot of merits. So because we need merits in our own spiritual path, in our own, both for mundane and for a spiritual way, we need to accumulate positive causes. We must make offerings for holy beings and for sentient beings. And when we are doing the Tsog offering, as we repeat many times, and so on, basically, what we do is that we keep it long in order to make all the visualization and to offer many times in order to accumulate more merits. That's why also even the word Tsog means accumulation. Okay? So it also has this meaning of accumulating merits. Then came the question saying, but Rinpoche very often gives a lot of importance to prepare the offerings well, to make beautiful offerings. No? So how is that? The fact is that the way what we offer materially, it is actually a manifestation of our own thoughts and emotions. Now, making a simple example, if I go to a birthday party and I really like so much the person that is having birthday, and I love that person, and I have a lot of gratitude, and I really want, and I need to get a present to that person, what I'm going to do? Get the best present that I can. Even if it's very expensive, maybe I need to pay it in 3-4 times. Okay, but I will get the best present for that person because I love him so much. Okay? Then the next day I go to another birthday of a person that I don't like. And I don't care about that person. But I need to give a present, not because I want the person to be happy, but because otherwise it's not good for my own image. I need just to give something. So most probably what I do, I just take something I have at home that I don't like and I recycle it. Okay? So what's showing here to us? That the material thing that I give reflects the level of love, of gratitude, of attraction, that I have. Okay? So, through material things, we also manifest our feelings and emotions and our gratitude and so on. We also manifest it through the material way. And also through material things, we can cultivate these feelings also. Okay? So the material offering is also important. But if someone asks me, how much should I offer? What's the right amount? I make the Tsog, how much food should I put? How should I make the offering? Or for example, I never received teachings in my life without making an offering for it. All the times I went to receive teachings, I always made an offering. So, what I always did, how much do I offer? The right amount to offer is that amount that is not too much or not too less. There is not a fixed number. Even when you make the Tsog, how much fruits and beautiful offerings should I make? It's relative. It depends on what are our resources. We should always offer something that is not too much. It becomes too much when we develop attachment to it. When we say, this is more than what I can give, and then we offer it, but we attach a string to it. So somehow we have attachment to what we are giving. There is some pain in giving. Okay? Then that means it's too much. It's not good to offer with attachment. It's too less when we feel that we are just doing it because it's a formality. And I could give more, naturally. So, it's always the fact of we give what we feel that is not too much and it's not too less. And this will depend on the moment also. Maybe there is a moment in our life where I can give 10 and 10 is a lot. Maybe there is another moment in my life when I can give 100 and 100 is very few. It's not much. It's not enough. So it depends very much on us. It depends on our moments. It's not like, okay, we do the Tsog offering. How much should we put? Oh, if you don't put 10 packets of biscuit, that's not enough. No, it depends on the moment. It depends on the resources that we have. It depends on the possibility of everyone. Maybe one person make a Tsog offering, and for that person he will offer everything, a lot, and for him it's not even much. Maybe someone else, for him just to offer something, it's already a lot. No? So this is the main thing. But the actual material offering, it's important. If we ask what is the most important thing, is the intention or is the material thing? It's the intention, it's the motivation, it's the value that we give, it's the reason why we offer. Okay, that's the most important of all. But does this mean that the material part is not important? No, because through the material we cultivate our feeling also. It's not as if there isn't even a text of Atisha, where in the book of Kadam, there is a moment where Atisha is talking with Dromtompa, and then Atisha explained to Dromtompa saying, oh, the most important thing in offerings is the intention and the motivation. Then Dromtompa asked, oh, so does this mean that a good practitioner that has the right intention doesn't need to make external offerings? And Dromtompa said, no. And Atisha said, no. Even if he has the right motivation, he still needs to make external offerings. How much doesn't matter. But the fact that even if I need to offer one little piece of bread, but that's what I have, but it is still there, because through the material aspect we still manifest. We are connected to material things. We have a body. It is something that is there. So it depends how much value I give, it's also manifested. And we cultivate. It's the same thing. If I have external physical respect, I cultivate inner respect through that. No? This is something that it's very clear also. At least for my own personal experience. You know? So, through this, that's why also making the offerings like this, it's also important. Okay? I would say now we could go back to the text and continue the explanation. All right? So, when we do the actual Tsog offering, what we do also that is important for us to remember is that the visualization while doing the Tsog offering. I didn't remember if I explained this well yesterday or not. I think not. As we do the Tsog offering, what we will do is that while we do hot things in Adan Chagachin Lapes, I made the social get of the Sagulamet, son of Nichibur, Omo, the Gupella Robert in the Emma Hot, Chinlap Church up to so and so on. And after, when we are doing the short version, Omo Hont in the horse, I made the good social deal, Amay the Jodan, Canodan gets the book, ever get the Soncho, Mazagamo Gorjadan, Gajan. Kanya gozo chela bu shene lo sang gawai lo jojo ge badan da jabon lo ge china sama parcha so dara ne ge tawalo samdo nyu do parso. When we do the repetition, the visualization that we do is that the offerings have been totally multiplied and they are in a state of being pure. Also, when we do the short version, that we always repeat the Om Ahum. Om, the Hum eliminates any impurity, the Ah transforms into nectar, the Om multiplies. So we imagine that we remember that the offerings are pure. Then, after that, as we do the recitation, we visualize that from the offerings, there are like many offering deities that brings the offerings to all holy beings. So the offerings go to all the holy beings and going to all the Buddhas, all the gurus of the lineage, to the Yidams, the Dakas, the Kinis, protectors of the Dharma, to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, go to all holy beings and bringing to them. And as they receive the offerings, they experience a new sensation of great bliss and emptiness. After that, or during the same time actually, there are many other offerings that from the offerings manifest light and nectar, going to every sentient being and performing the 4 acts of generosity, which means giving materially, giving love, giving protection, and giving the Dharma. So first, it gives materially. For example, someone that has a lot of hunger, it's manifesting as food. Someone that lives in a state of fear, it manifests as protection. Someone that lives in a state of loneliness, it gives love and it gives company to that person. Someone that has cold, it's giving warmth, and so on. It's manifesting in the different levels according to what each one of them actually need and feel. So first in a material level, then it's manifesting in giving love, then it's manifesting in giving protection, and then it's manifesting in giving the Dharma, guiding each one of them on the path to enlightenment, up to the moment where they reach enlightenment. Okay? So as we are doing, we are visualizing all these offerings manifesting to all holy beings and to all sentient beings. Okay? And as it goes to sentient beings, it's important for us to remember this process. First, it manifests materially. First, it manifests as the 4 actions of generosity. First, giving materially, then giving love, then giving protection, then giving the Dharma, up to the moment where they reach the state of liberation from suffering. They reach, and they can ultimately also reach Buddhahood. Okay? So, as we do this visualization, we recite the Tsog. When we conclude the number of recitations, it can be, normally we do 3 times the long version of the Tsog offering, and we don't need necessarily to do the short version of the Tsog. If we want, then we do minimum 3 times of the short version, or even 1 actually, and we can do then we can do like 21 times, 108 times, or 1,000 times. It doesn't matter. We could do in many different numbers. But when we finish the amount of recitation that we think is the correct for that moment, then there is the offering to the Guru that is presiding. Okay? So normally, if we have someone sitting, we have our teacher, our Guru is physically present, then we make the offering to him. The first verse 68, he's recited. The first verse 68, who is doing the offering, recites. And the 69, the Guru starts with the recitation. Okay? If there is no Guru is not there, we can still take the offering. We go to the front of the altar and we make the same, and we make it by ourselves also. It's possible like this. Okay? But now let's see this. So, when we finish the part of making the offerings, we can recite it as many times as we wish. Then after that, there is a verse 68 and 69, in which we make the actual offering to Guru Buddha. Okay, in which actually normally, if the Guru is not presiding the practice, what happens is that normally we don't need to recite this verse. Okay, we are not obliged to do these 2 verses if the Guru is not present. But in the practice, we always do. Practice-wise, I've never seen not recited these 2 verses. Normally, even if the master is not there, normally the 2 verses are always recited, okay? But we would not need to recite them if the Guru would not be present. But normally it's always recited, basically, okay? So the first verse is when we make the offering. Normally what we do is that we come up, 3 people make 3 prostrations. 1 is holding the main Tsog offering, the offering of the food. 1 is holding the bala and mata, which means the meat and the alcohol. The meat is in the right side, the alcohol in the left, which represents male and female energies, and then is made the offering in this way. When we do this, first, the person who's making the offerings, like in the monasteries normally, the verse 68 is recited only by the people making the offerings. So even if there are 1,000 people in the Gompa, only the 3 standing up will recite this verse. Okay? We can also make in a way that the whole assembly recites. And normally the one starting to recite the verse, do the umze of this is not the umze. It's the 3 people that stand up. Like when we do long life puja, if we look, it happens many times. Like the monks that stand up normally, they are the ones that start this verse. Okay? Yeah, we don't know. Emayaho Tsog che. So, normally this is done by the one that stand up. Then the rest of the people can also sing together or not, depend on the tradition of the place itself, okay? Like in most of the monasteries, only the 3 monks that stand up will sing this verse. Actually, it's an extremely beautiful verse. As it says, Ema ho tsogi korlo che, tusum deshe shek shulte, ngodru malu jungene, tedar shene pawo che, nambar tobe semporne, tsogi korlo gyunturol alala ho. There are 2 ways how we can read this. There is the translation that we have here. My own interpretation of the verse is a little bit different than the translation that we have here, okay? I don't want to say it's completely wrong, but I have a different way of reading it. Here is a great circle of Tsog. Here is the great Gana Chakra. O you who have followed the footsteps of all the Buddhas of the 3 times, realizing that you are the source of all powerful attainments, O great Vira hero, you who have freed yourself from all superstitious conceptions, we invite you to continually enjoy this cycle of Tsog. Alalaho. Emaho. Emaho is an expression of joy. Okay, so, oh, what a great joy. Emaho. Tsogi korlo che. This great circle of Tsog, this great assembly in a circle, this great Gana Chakra, okay? Which means this great union between me, practitioner, and the holy beings, between all holy beings and sentient beings. Then here, this can be translated into 2 ways. Or it can say, you who have followed the path of the 3 Buddhas of the Buddhas of the 3 times. Or we can, realizing that you are the source of all attainments. Or we can say differently, which is my own interpretation, in which we say, Emaho tsogi korlo che, this great circle of Gana Chakra. The Gana Chakra itself is the path through which all the Buddhas of the 3 times have gone. It's the source of all realizations. So this great Gana Chakra, the path through which the Buddhas of the 3 times have to go, which means no one has ever reached enlightenment without going through the Gana Chakra. No one has been reaching enlightenment in the present without going through the Gana Chakra. No one will ever reach enlightenment in the future without going through the Gana Chakra. This doesn't mean that all the Buddhas of the past have been reciting Samhita Gozocha De Lama Chotandan. It's not that. It means that this union between holy beings and sentient beings is something which is the main essence of the Gana Chakra, is accumulation of merits. Anyone that have ever reached enlightenment in the past have done through that. Anyone that is reaching enlightenment in the present is doing through that. Anyone that will reach enlightenment in the future will do through that. So the great circle of Gana Chakra is the path through which all the Buddhas of the past, present, and future have gone, are going, and will go. It's the source of all attainments. Is the source of all attainments. So the 3 first lines go the actual Gana Chakra, this great Gana Chakra, that is the pathways of all the Buddhas of the past, present, and future. That is the source of all attainments. By understanding that, O you great hero, O you great Vira, which is the Guru in this case. It can also refer to the practitioner, but let's say it's, for me, the best way is referring to the Guru, which say, by understanding that the Tsog is the source of all attainments, is the pathways of all the Buddhas of the 3 times. O you great hero, O you great Vira, great Daka, great hero. By eliminating all the mental conceptions, by eliminating all my mental conceptions, by eliminating, generally speaking, all mental conceptions, which means the mind that grasps that inherent existence, all preconcepts. Please make that the circle of Tsog will turn continuously. Please, Guru, make the circle of the Tsog to return continuously. Make the Tsog to continue again and again and again. Because once by understanding that the circle of the Tsog, of the Gana chakra, is the pathways of all the Buddhas, is the source of all attainments. Oh, you great Vira, you great hero. Please turn the cycle of the Tsog continuously in order for me to reach enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. So, this is the meaning as we say this verse. Okay? Alalaho, again an expression of joy. Then the Guru will recite, will answer. Om dorje sumyer me pe da rani lama har sene a sameye she dutsidi om hun janjo semle yeme pa lunel hanam simchi rol. I visualize myself as Guru Yidam. The text doesn't say literally I visualize. I am clearly as Guru Yidam. Okay? I who am clearly as Guru Yidam. Rani lama har selne. I am clearly as Guru Yidam. Om rani lama lar sene. Om dorje sumyer me pe da rani lama la sene. The order in Tibetan would be Om. Inseparably, I am the owner, I possess the three Vajras. Being clear as Guru Yidam. In English, to make the English language, it goes on the other way. I am myself as Guru Yidam with the inseparable nature, with the nature inseparable of the three Vajras. The three Vajras means the pure body, speech, and mind. It's the body, speech, and mind of all the Buddhas. So this is the Guru answering, and the Guru says, Om, which means the pure body. I am inseparable of the Guru Yidam, and I am inseparable in nature of the body, speech, and mind of all Buddhas. Sameyeshe Dutsidi. This uncontaminated nectar of wisdom, which means, this nectar, this nectar uncontaminated, pristine awareness, this nectar which is inseparable of the real wisdom that realizes emptiness, that realizes the true nature of reality. This nectar that is inseparable of great bliss and emptiness. Okay? This nectar. Whom, without moving a state of bodhicitta, without moving from a state of bodhicitta, I play within order to satisfy the deities residing within my body. This play means the word röl. Röl means play. Röl means like a dance, means like a play. So I offer all this, as I receive this nectar, they are giving to all the deities of the body mandala. Because you remember, Guru Buddha in this case is the practice of Guhya Samaja. So has the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, the 5 great madras, the protectors, it's like the whole assembly of the body mandala. So the Guru says, I offer this to all the Buddhas in my body, and by that they all experience the state of great bliss and emptiness. Aho Mahasukha. Aho, again, an expression of joy. Maha is great, Sukha is bliss. Okay? Aho Mahasukha. Aho great bliss. Aho great joy. Okay? So, this is basically as we make this offering. Okay? Yes, Tutla? I think Ho also is an expression of joy. I am not exactly sure. Okay? Yes? No, it's originally, when the Tsog offering was done originally in India, it was done in circle. In the first time, in the first period when the Tsog offering was done, the Guru would sit in the front and all the disciples would sit around. So the name circle could also come from there. But it has many different meanings. It can also be referred to cycle, something that we repeat constantly, is giving and receiving. There's many different meanings in this way. Okay? It means this gathering. No? So it's interesting because the Dharma texts very often have different levels of explanations. Okay? So the way of the words, it has many different levels of understanding and explanation of it also. Okay? Okay. No, normally the three Vajras is body, speech, and mind. This is quite specific. Okay, now once we have done that, we go to the next part, which is the song of the Spring Queen. We have now here the song of the Spring Queen. Every verse of this song has two parts which are repeated and one central part which is different. This song by itself is a praise to great bliss. Okay, it's a praise to the actual fact of bliss, showing us that bliss is not to be abandoned, but bliss is to be used as a way to enlightenment. It's to be used as a tool for our own path to enlightenment. Remembering that the whole Gana chakra is all connected with the state of joy, with the state of bliss. Everywhere we have aho, alala, alaho, aho, mahasukha. It's always the moment of joy. If we go through ho tinseng adan chage chin la pe same du so together de sakyo la me tsona ni chirbol om ahon de gopela robert emaho chin la charcha emaho. We're always remembering joy. There is always expressions of joy. So this is a praise to great bliss, is a praise to joy, saying that it's not something to abandon and cut, it's something that we need to use on our own path to enlightenment. Okay? And these verses can be interpreted in different ways and different levels. I'm going to give a simple interpretation of it today, okay? So, the first part of the verse says, we make our request to you, the Tathagatas, who are just gone, as well as the Viras, which is the Dakas, the yoginis, dakas, and dakinis. Viras, yoginis, dakas, and dakinis. Which means, I make my request to you, so to whom I am talking, to whom I am related. To all the Buddhas, to the dakas, the dakinis, the yogis, and the yoginis. The dakas, dakinis are like holy beings with a subtle body, pure beings with a subtle body that actually can be of positive influence for us in our spiritual path, okay? The dakas, the yogis and the yoginis are like the practitioners, male and female practitioners, okay? Then the last part is always the same. Alalalaho, aya araliho is a long version of alalaho. It's an expression of joy, okay? So we have, normally when we do this also, we do with the mudra, ala la la ho, aya arali ho. It's representing the play of the male and female energy. Ala la la ho, aya arali ho is representing the union of the male and the female energy. So, and then it ends saying, you, multitudes of immaculate dakinis, look upon us with love, bestow all the powerful attainments. Actually, bestow all the powerful attainments is not correct. Please accomplish all the sacred actions. That would be more correct. So please look to me with love and do and accomplish all the sacred actions. That would be more correct. Okay. Here it's called immaculate dakinis because the word dakini also is used in different contexts with different meanings. For example, in some contexts, the word dakini means woman. In other contexts, the word dakini means the female practitioner. In some contexts, the word dakini means an enlightened female deity, like in the case of Vajrayogini. In some contexts, the word dakini even means a bad witch. Like in some cases, in some contexts, the word dakini, it means like a woman that has mystical powers to harm others. Okay? And in some contexts, the word dakini also means like a negative female spirit also. So it depends on the context in which we are, okay? Like that's why in some practices we say, so protect me from the harm of the dakini. So, okay, but here I ask the blessing of the dakini. There I ask to protect from the harm. What does that mean? It depends on the different context. Literally, the word dakini means the one that goes on the sky. Ka means sky, space. Dro means to go. The one that flies, the one that goes on the sky, the one that goes on space, the sky goer. That's one of the translations that is given, okay? Space going, the one that goes in space. Anyhow, many different levels of interpretation and meaning of this. So depending on the context, it can change completely meaning. So here it says immaculate dakini. So it makes clear that it's referring to a pure state, a pure being. So it's a pure being that manifests in the female form. And the whole text after, it's praising the union of male and female energy. It's praising the union of male and female energy as a way of generating great bliss. Ultimately, it's praising great bliss as a mean to enlightenment, okay? There is one verse here which makes it very clear, but I will go through it. It says, Hiruka, Dewa chola kebe Hiruka, Dewa ramnyo mala ninjene choka shinto longjopai nilhinke dewa jorwala shukso. Hiruka, who enjoys great bliss. Actually, the word Hiruka here doesn't necessarily mean Hiruka as the deity Hiruka, okay? Hiruka, literally, it means dechuk. Actually, in Tibetan, we see the verse says, Dewa chok la kiebe Hiruka. Dewa chok means Hiruka, dechuk, which means excellent bliss, excellent joy. That's the meaning of Hiruka. That's the meaning of dechuk. So here it's referring to Guru Buddha that we have in front of us. So we refer to Guru Buddha and we say, oh, you Guru Buddha, Hiruka, who enjoys great bliss, who enjoys excellent bliss. Inebriated with bliss, brings satisfaction to the consort, and, in accordance with the precepts of practice, enters into the union of innate bliss. Alalalalaho aya araliho. So, it's very clearly referring to the union of male and female. And here, one of the meanings of this is because great bliss is an inner state. Okay, it's a sensation. And actually, from our mundane point of view, from what we know, what gets the most near to it is actually the physical pleasure of male and female union, which is the physical pleasure of sexual pleasure. That's what gets the most near to what is called the great bliss. So, for example, one time a friend of us was doing a retreat, had an experience of bliss. And so this person was doing mantra recitation, retreat, okay, alone. They're doing the mantra recitation, and then suddenly she starts feeling heat coming from the area of the navel, the heat going up, feeling the whole body, then a sensation of bliss, feeling each part of the body to the tip of every finger and every part of the body. And there is not the feeling of moving, and the mind is completely free of any conceptual thought. No thoughts to the future, no thoughts to the present, only that moment. And after, when this person came to tell me, she was even a little bit ashamed. And she didn't know really much how to send. The explanation was really, look, what I felt was like if it was an orgasm that would never end. And I never had such experience before. It was something completely greater than any experience of bliss that I've ever had before. So this is an example which is showing that the actual experience of bliss is something internally that we can gain through meditation, for example. Okay? But the most near that we can get, and one of the ways that we activate this type of energy is through the sexual energy, is through the energy of the union. Okay? So, also, okay, this other part we go to the other verse. So this is actually showing us that here we are using a metaphor, we are using an example also, which is what's the most near way that we can understand what is great bliss. The most simple way of explaining to someone what is great bliss is saying, imagine the moment where you have sexual bliss, take that instant and make it last forever. That would be, multiply it and make it last forever. That would be the meaning of great bliss. Okay, something that normally goes very fast, make that instant, multiply it, and make it last for a long time. That would be normally what we mean by great bliss. Great bliss is an inner state, very powerful inner state, because it's a non-conceptual state. Naturally, the mind, whenever anyone experiences great bliss, the mind goes naturally to a deeper state of consciousness, a non-conceptual state of consciousness. So, what happens physically when anyone experiences great bliss is that the winds of energy absorb into the central channel. And by that, all the conceptual thoughts stop. All the perception of the five senses stop. Or they get weaker or they stop. The stronger is the state of bliss, the stronger the five senses will stop and the conceptual thoughts will stop. Okay? So, which means the stronger the winds will absorb into the central channel and the deeper will be the level of consciousness. So the objective is not just to experience great bliss, it's to use great bliss as a tool, as a method to develop wisdom that realizes the true nature of reality in a deep state of consciousness, in a non-conceptual state of consciousness. Okay? Then it continues and it says in the next verse. It continues and it says, Dewa chenpo yinyi rabkyope lunyi kundu yowe kargini chage peme rope dewa chen eljur matzo namla che parradze. Yiwon shiwe nyamgi karze marabke gombo kyodan kandrasa dagi dindu chudar chinala linge dechen dala tsedu sol. To the string of the mind of great bliss, to the steering of the mind of great bliss, to the moving dance of the body, there arises the great bliss played within the lotus of the consort. So, once again, this bliss we offer to the multitudes of yoginis. So once again here, it's talking about the bliss of the union of the male and the female. Okay? It's quite clear, the text itself. Don't need much explanation. So, then it continues. Yoginis dance with enhancing, soothing movements. The protector so exceedingly to please, and the multitudes of dakinis come before us and bless us, bestow upon us innate great bliss. So once again, this first three verses are referring to the generation of great bliss by the union of the male and the female energy. Okay? And then it continues saying, the great bliss which possesses liberating qualities, the great bliss without freedom, without which freedom cannot be gained in one life, though one endures much asceticism, the great bliss abides within the center of the Supreme Lotus. Little translation, not so perfect, but it means that Dechen tarpe tsenyi dempa kyo, dechen pangbe katup tumai, tsechi drower mishe, dechen chuke chuki una nebain. It's not possible to reach enlightenment, to be free from suffering in one lifetime by abandoning bliss, by abandoning pleasure. The only way is by actually taking pleasure, taking bliss as a way to enlightenment, as a path to enlightenment, as a method. So we should not abandon, we should cultivate it and use it as a method, not as a goal by itself. The next verse explains this even better. So here is saying that if we want to reach freedom from some samsara in one life, we should not abandon joy, we should not abandon pleasure, but we need to use that same pleasure as a tool, as a mean to enlightenment itself. Okay? So this great bliss that brings us to liberation, it resides within the center of the Supreme Lotus, which basically it's saying it resides within great bliss. It resides between the union of male and female energies. Then it continues saying, this verse is very important. And it says, Damgi wisu kebe pema shin chale kegen chape kyoma go neljur majo peme dewa sibe chingwa nyurdu trollwarzu. Just as a lotus born out of the mud, great bliss, though born of desire, is unsullied. It's not, how do you say it in English, is unstained by its faults. O Supreme Yoginis, By the bliss of your lotus, may the bonds of samsara be quickly united. Be quickly untied. May the bonds of samsara be quickly untighted. Which means a lotus flower is born in the middle of mud, but it's clean, it's not dirty from the mud itself. Similar to that, the bliss that is generated from the sexual energy is not stained by the desire. It's the energy of desire, but is not stained by attachment, which means that here is showing that the only way to use this energy in our favor is in the moment that we are not attached to it as a goal. Like if we talk very openly and directly, we can see sexual energy is one of the most strong energies that exist in this planet. If we look from the point of view, how much energy people invest, how much time, how much energy is dedicated in that direction. A lot, no? And if we look from that point of view, but actually, why? What people really want? The sensation of bliss, which is a non-conceptual state of the mind. Okay? The problem becomes in the moment that that state of bliss is seen as a goal by itself, then it bounds the person more and more and more to samsara. Because the physical pleasure, the state of bliss becomes a goal by itself. That's what 99.9999999% of everyone does, okay? We see that's the danger of the sexual energy itself, because it is a very strong state of joy, state of bliss. But once it's lived as a final goal, what happens is that everything becomes in order to fulfill that state. A person lives with that objective. And then once it's able to do anything, people are able to kill for that. Okay? There is violence, there is attachment, there is greed, there is so much which come out of that. Okay? So, when there is actually attachment to the sexual pleasure, the more we have attachment and the more we see the state of bliss and pleasure as a final goal, as something to obtain, the more we are bound to suffering and samsara. Okay? That's why the sexual energy is said to be like, the use of this energy is said to be like a snake in a pipe. Or you go up, or you go down. There is no way in between. Or it takes you to more deep suffering, or it takes you out of suffering. Which means the same state of bliss, if there is no attachment to the state of bliss itself, and is used as a mean, as a tool, to generate a deeper state of consciousness, through which one generates love and wisdom, for example, then it's a very, very powerful tool of inner development. Because what happens is that in the moment of great bliss, the winds absorb into the central channel, the mind goes from a gross level to a subtle level, and from a subtle even to a very subtle level. The greater is the level of bliss, the deeper is the level of consciousness that is generated at that moment. So if the person enters into the state of bliss with the mind of attachment, that mind of attachment becomes stronger and deeper. If we enter into that state with the mind of love, the sensation of love becomes deeper. If it happens with the sensation of anger, of hatred, that thought will become more deep into the minds of the person. If that is done with the mind with the wisdom that realizes true nature of reality, that mind of wisdom will become deeper and deeper. Okay? So we are using this tool. That's why also this state of bliss, orgasm, is also called a small death. Because the same process of death is also happening at that moment very quickly, which means we enter into a deeper state of consciousness. So, basically what he's saying here is that It's praising great bliss. But then it's making clear that we are talking about great bliss as a mean and not as a goal. Great bliss here is very clear put. It should be used as a method, an inner state of bliss. It's not here talking about the physical aspect of sex, if we look at the text. It's not talking about that. It's talking about the inner state of bliss that is a very, very powerful tool. Okay? For everyone. It's a such, but if it's used in the right way, it can bring even liberation from samsara. If it's used in the wrong way, it will bring just more and more bonds to samsara, more and more suffering and violence and so on and so on. So, it says here, just as a lotus born out of the mud, great bliss, though born of desire, is unstained by its faults. Which means even though it's born from desire, it's free, which means the energy of bliss is the energy of desire, but it's free of the attachment of desire. It's seen as a mean and not as a goal. When in one text, Lama Tsongkhapa explains saying, it's similar to the fact that even though you have no attachment at all to food, when you feel hungry, you look for it. You can have no attachment at all to food, but when you feel hungry, you eat. Why? Because you need the food in order to sustain your body, to nourish yourself. So the food is seen as a mean and not as a goal. Most of us, we eat food because we like the taste. Very often, that's a very important part of eating. Okay? Here, it's following the same example, it's like eating for the fact of nourishing and not for the fact of the pleasure of eating itself. So it's like we have the energy of desire, which is the pleasure, the bliss itself is directly connected to the energy of desire, but it's not stained by the mental defilement of desire. It's not stained because this pleasure itself is not seen as the goal of happiness. It's seen as a method to bring the mind to a deeper state of consciousness and not as a goal by itself. So, I'm just making it brief, okay? But otherwise, we cannot read this text without giving some explanation of it, at least. So, this is showing that we can use bliss, like in Guhya Samaja Tantra. The whole explanation of the completion stage is divided into evam, how to generate bliss, how to generate emptiness, how to unite great bliss and emptiness. So this is basically everything is turning around that. So, here, it's once again actually talking about and praising the state of great bliss as a tool for enlightenment, okay? So, the last verse says, like a swarm of bees drawing forth the nectar of flowers, may we likewise be satiated by the captivating nectar of the mature lotus, possessor of 6 qualities. In other words, may we all experience great bliss. And through this great bliss, may we realize emptiness, and by the union of great bliss and emptiness, may we be free from suffering. So this is basically the main meaning, quickly, briefly, of these verses, okay? There are different levels of interpretation that we could give, but this is, for me, the one that I personally see and understand out of it, okay? It's very important for me to understand the deeper meaning behind things. Otherwise, if we just go literally, if we read these verses literally, it's talking to us about the union between man and woman, basically. It's talking about sexual union, if we read it literally the way how it's talking. What it's showing to us is the fact that the inner state of great bliss is extremely important. It's a very, very powerful tool. And in the Vajrayana, it's essential that it's not something that we need to abandon. It's something that we need to cultivate and use it as a tool. And just to put things clear, what it's saying here is not that it's not through sex that you have this spiritual development. It's not saying that. If it would be like this, almost everyone would already be enlightened. Okay? But that's not the point. The point is that sexual energy, and it's actually what can bring us the most near to what is called great bliss. And it can be a tool to generate great bliss. But the objective is to generate great bliss as a method, as a tool, to realize the true nature of ourself, to bring our mind to a deeper state of consciousness, and not as a goal by itself. Okay, I think it's quite clear, no? Okay, so with this we conclude this prayer, this praise to great bliss, the song of the Spring Queen. And as we do this, normally we also do the a la 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 ho, a ra li ho, which means like the a la 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 ho. It means like the play between the male and female energy, a la 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 ho, the play between male and female energy, and the union of male and female energy. So this is the meaning of this mudra, for example. Okay, so once again, generate great bliss, great joy, and use it as a tool for enlightenment. Even from the simple fact, the energy of bliss is such a powerful energy. So if we direct it for enlightenment, it gives a very strong power for enlightenment. Okay? So it's a very powerful energy. We need to direct it in the right way. If we use it in the wrong way, it would just generate more and more suffering, more and more bondage to samsara itself. Okay? I think it's quite clear, no? Okay. So I would say now we need to stop for lunch. And we will continue after with the part of the remaining Tsog, the Tsogla, and after we'll give a short explanation about the long life prayers and 21 taras and protector puja also. Okay? Jetsu lame kutse raptenchi namkar chile chochur gepadang losan tempe dreme sasumgi Drove Michel tatu ne gyurchi Nimo dele tsendele Nime kuyan delekşin Ninsen taktu delekpe Koncho sumge jingilo Koncho sumge ngodrupso Koncho sumge tashisho. At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness. Oma huntemba lame sangye rinpoche, kyoba lame tamcho rinpoche, dremba lame gendurim, kyamne kuncho sumla chopa, bulocho sampo pakyo trashipa, tuche tempe tinle yarngot. Pege drolo zambe zebrache panden lame shela chopa bul kanshi dremba samge chinange parche kunsele she tinlenam so zegajin shugne renga zeten sun kordan chela chopa bo kenam chojin sowa tabetu dazo kanto nebe sacho ter nedan ubon tapso shiwadan chodan trashi pelwar zedu so